made a lot of changes, not just on the field, but I think off the field the most. And, kind of going back to the conversation Davante and I had post game on Sunday. And it was just me kind of telling him like how much I respect him for what he does on the field, but more so what he does off the field and his leadership in our receiver room, in the offensive room, the locker room, all that stuff. That's what I've been able to draw the most from him, given the time that we've been able to spend together. So I think that doing that and being able to see what he's done to be successful off the field has, skyrocketed my success on the field because of my off the field changes as well.
And one follow-up, if I can ask to that, Alan, he mentioned, I don't know how recently it was, but he kind of, pulled you aside, pulled the whole room aside and kind of gave, I don't want to call it a lecture, but, he said he was pretty animated about things. I'm just curious what you thought of that and just how you respond to that kind of leadership. Because he said it's stuff like that he wouldn't do with just anybody. He takes that approach with people he knows can really benefit from it.
Yeah, definitely at first, there's always a little resistance. There's always a little bit of like, you don't always know what's right in that sense. But I think, one, for me, you can go back and ask any of my coaches, any of the former players that I've had. I would like to think that I'm one of the most, if not the most, coachable players that they've been around. And, going back to your first question on why I've had so much success or why it's skyrocketed in a sense in the past few years is because, I've always had a really good niche of being coachable and just trying to take in as much information as I wanted. And sometimes that information, truly doesn't benefit me. And sometimes it's, what's needed to take place to help me get to that next level. So, I've always just been receptive of anyone's intuition or knowledge of the game or knowledge of life, and just trying to be very receptive of all the information to be able to take it in and do what I need to do with it in that sense.
Jason Wilde.
Hey, Alan, how are you?
I'm good.
So, following up on Wes's question about Davante's Adams or Davante's comments, look, I'm not going to pretend like you and I are pals. I don't know you that well, but I feel like being in the locker room for a couple of years with you, I have a decent idea of the kind of guy you are. And one of the things that I think of is really conscientious, the guy that does everything that's ever asked of him. So I guess I was a little surprised by Davante's comments that he had to be kind of giving out some tough love. Now, he also received some from Jordy back in the day, and he's talked about that. So why do you think that maybe was necessary, or was it not necessary for both you and the entire room, and it just turned out to be a good thing, even if you didn't necessarily need it or didn't realize you need it?
Yeah, I think subtle reminders are key. Kind of like muting your mic when you're doing interviews, stuff like that. So for me, just that in that scenario, and I think for a lot of those guys as well that are in our room, even though Davante's being hard on us, even though Coach Vrabel or LaFleur, whoever it is, it's kind of like, being a real stickler about your steps, your body language, or whatever it may be, given the look. It's only because it's all out of love, and it's only for the betterment of the team. So when you're able to leave your ego at the door and you're able to walk in and just be fully receptive of those things, one thing I think I've done very well with football and in life is just like I've always had that positive mindset. So something bad can happen, but you focus on the bad is what it's going to be. It's going to be bad. It's going to be a negative situation. But even if the little positive that you can be able to withdraw out of it, you can focus on that and hone in on it, then you're going to have a very different outcome or idea of what it is that's happening, given the contrast to it. So when Davante's giving those lectures or being hard on us, being a stickler, or whoever it may be, it's all out of love, one, and two, it's up to whoever's receiving it to do what with the information. And for me, it's always been a positive mindset. It's always been staying focused, and not trying to, like I said, leaving my ego at the door. And I think that's something I've done a great job throughout my entire career and will continue to keep on doing.
Tom Silverstein.
Sorry for the loud laugh. That was a good line, by the way. Do you, I don't know, do you at all know Equanimeous' brother? Did he at all hang out with you guys, or did he ever show up for training camp or in off-season workouts or anything like that? And what's your, if you have had any relationship with him, what's your recollection?
I don't have any previous relationship with him. Obviously, I know him through EQ and everything. Maybe on FaceTime, he was in the background, said something here and there, but obviously, I know him through EQ, and I've been able to follow his career, or what little of his professional career, but I followed him a little bit back in college as well. So obviously, it's been great seeing him have success, do his thing over there in Detroit, and to keep on building off of that.
Wes, go ahead.
Hey, Alan, with this game on Sunday, how do you sort of approach it, and what do you look to get out of it, individually, when obviously the seed is locked up and everything, but as Matt has been talking about, trying to kind of build momentum now as you guys get ready for the postseason?
Yeah, right there, momentum. I think that's the biggest thing. If you take this game off, it's really 3 weeks or so, whatever it is, without playing a game. And I think, reps for a lot of us are very imperative of our success. And, besides 12, I think is the only person who's literally just gone 2 months of practice, maybe a handful of times, but, it's about to win the MVP. So I think that that alone is just bonkers to me. But for me, practice is, very important. And those game reps are even as important as well. So me going to this game, I'm preparing I'm playing 4 quarters, and we need to go out and, win the game because, we always say our film's our resume, and, I don't want to have anything bad on my resume from that standpoint. So I'm not sure how much everyone's playing and whatnot, but all I need to focus on is just, get my body right, making sure I have my mental right going into the game, and just go out there and play hard, and whatever comes from it comes from it.